So, what happens when a 9-year prison sentence for an election official hangs by a thread? All because of one, quote, baffling error and a huge debate over free speech. Today, we're going to break down the high stakes appeal of former Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters. And believe me, this case could really redraw the line between a crime and political expression.
Now get this single sentence from an appellate judge, it's not just some legal comment, it's an absolute bombshell. It really frames the central question here. Was Tina Peters sentenced for her actual crime, or was she punished for her speech? This is the exact moment her appeal went from being a total long shot to a really serious challenge.
And that's the core question we're digging into. Forget all the broad legal arguments for a second. We're going to break down the two specific, almost hidden issues that really caught the judge's eyes and could now change literally everything for her.
Okay, so before we can really dive into the appeal, we have to understand the conviction itself. What exactly did Tina Peters do to get slapped with a nearly decade-long prison sentence in the first place? Well, this whole thing didn't just happen overnight. The election breach itself happened way back in 2021, but it took all the way until mid-2024 for her to actually be convicted, which brings us to this critical appeal hearing that just happened a few months ago.
At its heart, the crime was a massive breach of trust. I mean, as the county's top election official, prosecutors say she didn't just bend the rules, she shattered them. They say she smuggled an unauthorized person into a secure software update, using a fake name, no less. And the result? Sensitive election data got copied and then leaked all over the internet. The prosecution called it a fundamental betrayal. And the price tag for that betrayal? A whopping 9 years in prison. A sentence that long is exactly why this appeal isn't just some formality. It's a real fight for her future. All right, so her legal team shows up to the appellate court, and they basically came armed with a whole bunch of arguments aimed at getting the entire conviction thrown out. Her lawyers threw everything they could at the wall. They tried claiming federal immunity. They argued she was wrongly denied what's called an affirmative defense, which is basically saying, yeah, I did it, but I had a good reason. And they even brought up a presidential pardon, which was a total non-starter because those don't even apply to state crimes. As you can probably guess, the judges were, well, they were not buying it. And this quote right here, it just perfectly captures the court's skepticism. Judge Tao just cuts right through all those defense arguments with one simple, direct question. It was a clear signal that her bigger attempts to throw out the whole case were not going anywhere. But even while they were dismissing all those broad arguments, the judges really zeroed in on two very specific points where they saw some major potential problems with the original trial. The first one, and this is a big one, was a procedural mistake that one of the judges actually called baffling. And it all has to do with the specific instructions that were given to the jury for one of the felony charges against her. Okay, this is where it gets a little technical, but stick with me because it's absolutely crucial. To convict her of this specific felony, the prosecution had to prove her actions caused actual harm or liability. But the jury was mistakenly told they only had to find that it might have caused harm. Think about it this way. It's the difference between convicting someone for actually starting a fire versus just holding a lit match. It's a huge legal error. And why is this one little error such a big deal? Because that single, flawed felony conviction added another 15 months to her sentence. If the appeals court agrees this was a mistake, her prison time could get cut down significantly, just like that. Okay, let's pivot to the second major issue that really grabbed the court's attention. And this one has to do with the sentencing itself and the First Amendment. So get this, during the original sentencing, the trial judge, Matthew Barrett, used this incredibly strong, loaded language. He pointed to Peters' nonstop promotion of election conspiracy theories and her total lack of remorse as big factors in his decision. And that language, well, that's what set off major alarm bells for the appellate judges. Judge Welling's comment signals a really deep concern. Was the sentence based only on her crime, or was she actually being punished for her political speech? That's a huge potential First Amendment violation, and it's a line the courts are not supposed to cross, ever. All right, so the court is clearly worried about these two big things. What does that actually mean for Peters? What happens next? Well, based on how the hearing went, it really seems like her core convictions are gonna stick, so this probably isn't pointing to a full exoneration. But that one felony charge could very well get knocked down to a misdemeanor, and the whole case could be sent back for a brand new sentencing hearing, which could definitely shave some serious time off her sentence. And you gotta remember, none of this is happening in a vacuum. Colorado's governor has already called the sentence harsh and is thinking about clemency, while the Secretary of State is dead set against it. The appeals court seems like it's going to land somewhere in the middle, offering some relief but keeping the main convictions in place.
So, when you boil it all down, the Tina Peters appeal is about so much more than just one person. It really forces all of us to confront a fundamental question for our time. Where exactly is the line between punishing an illegal act and punishing political speech? And the court's answer to that question is going to have ripple effects far beyond a Colorado courtroom.